Hello and welcome to another Writerly Witterings with me, Michael Jex, the tea drinking author, and thank you to Twinings for inventing this very tasty number 29 tea, which is a take on Indian chai, so that it's got cinnamon and all sorts in it. And it's frankly lovely, it really is warming. Today I'm talking about some slightly different things because I'm going to run through some of my favourite things of the year. I did do a top 10 Christmas presents only recently, but things have moved on since then. So, the first off is notebooks, because I've had a couple of inquiries about what do I use for writing generally. Do I use a particular brand? And I have been using this for quite some time. It is from a firm called paperforfountainpens.com, as you can see. And it was brilliant because it's Tomo River 52 GSM paper. It is wonderful paper to use. I've been using it for donkey's years. There's lots of pages because Tomo River paper is very thin. And I've been using this with lots of different inks for some years now. There's only one problem with this, and that is apparently the firm doesn't exist anymore. They've gone the way of all things, as in FUT. So I can't use that anymore. And what I now rate as my very favourite notebook is this. It's an Odyssey. It's not A4. I can demonstrate that by holding a sheet of A4 behind it, or several sheets in fact, which are all out of sequence. But this is not A4, it's a B5. Now, I've never really used many B5 notebooks because it's not a standard sort of size you expect in the UK. But this Odyssey notebook, I reviewed it some time ago. The paper is, I think, 68 GSM Tomo River. You get all the sheening, all the shading, everything you want. But the nice thing is this is really sturdily built, imitation leather cover, very nice. It has a couple of ribbons, so you've got bookmarks set up, and it works as a notebook, it opens flat, it writes superbly, it is a really convenient size for me. I can't recommend these highly enough. I think they're absolutely fantastic. So Odyssey notebooks, as you can see there. If you're looking for a larger size notebook, I would personally recommend these over all others. And I have to say I've no axe to grind. I've got nothing to do with Odyssey Notebooks or the Lady Rainbow who runs it. It's just a great firm to deal with. Now, what other sort of notebooks are there? Well, I cannot talk about notebooks without mentioning William Hanna. I have several William Hannas here. I've got this. This is A5. This is A6. The lovely thing is you can interchange the paper from the A6 into the A5. So if you're out and about making notes, make your notes here, and then you can transfer the pages into this because it works on this fabulous ring system, which is like a tomer. And what happens is when you want to move sheets of paper around, you simply pull them from the top and the pages come out. And then when you put them back in the place you want, you just clip the paper in, and there you are. So you can transfer your pages from one notebook to another, smaller to a larger. You can't take a larger to a smaller because it is a bit big. But these things are just wonderful. The paper is, I think, 115 GSM. Don't quote me on that necessarily, but it's heavyweight paper, and it feels wonderful to write on. I haven't had ever any problems with any fountain pen, with any ink. It always works superbly well. So that's the second one. And then, sorry, quick slurp. For those who really want ultra portable, I love this, It is very portable. It fits in a lot of my jacket pockets, but it is quite fat because, as you can see here, the rings do take up a certain amount of acreage, so it means that it stays quite a chubby little chap, a bit like me. So I still have to resort to my old Midori Traveller's Notebook, which I think are now just branded as Traveller's Notebooks. This one, for me, is superb because it has a plastic wallet which at the back has a ziplock on it, and I've got permanently some glue dots and some spare strings in case this one goes, and I've got a ridiculous micro pencil as well as business cards and notes of stuff and things in the front. It has these two currently notebooks in it. You can fit 3, 4 or more if you want, but it starts to look a bit silly. It is a very robust, simple design. It is just a strip of leather. It's got an elastic band that goes down the back, and you stick your notebooks inside the elastic band. If you want to add additional notebooks, you've got another elastic band that binds the notebooks to each other. So here you go. There's an elastic band holding 2 notebooks together. There is nothing glamorous or sexy or particularly clever about this, apart from the fact that it's simple, it's really effective, and I've had this for getting on for 20 years, as you can see from the colour. I have got another one here which I haven't used anything like as much. It's nice, but it's not quite as nice. This has been in a thunderstorm, left out in the open by accident all day. It has been with me to all of my signing tours in the States, and it went with me to New Zealand, and it's been everywhere with me, and it's just really nice. I love it. So I'm keeping it. What else am I talking about today? Well, I thought it would be a good idea to talk about my 2 favourite inks. Now, one of them is the absolutely delightful Earl Grey from Diamine, which I think's really rather stunning. It's a very pleasant grey. It's got purplish tones used on white rhodia paper. On Tomo River, it's really gorgeous, but more of a reddish tinge to it. If you're looking for something that's really good for business, that is going to be good in any pen you use, because Diamine inks are utterly reliable, I'd have no hesitation recommending it. But there is now one other ink which is a similar sort of thing, but I think looks as nice or even better depending on what you want. And it is Dominant Industries Dusk from Cult Pens. See that? Cult Pens Dusk, and on the top it says Dominant Industries. It's a Korean company. They have these lovely little packages. I did talk about this briefly before, so I'll just mention it again. You've got this nice little bag it comes in, which is all plastic. Who cares? But then they've got these lovely little bottles. It has got a flat base. Someone did ask me, has it got a flat base because it's going to roll over? No, it's got a flat base so it doesn't roll over. And it's a shimmering ink, as you can see. There's a whole bunch of shimmery stuff down the bottom there. Now, I don't like leaving shimmering inks in pens for too long. I've tried the Brandy Dazzle and various others from Diamine. They all seem to be perfectly reliable and well behaved. But it's just a thing about me, I don't trust them. But these bottles I think are gorgeous. The ink I think is absolutely divine, and just for those of you who want to see what it looks like, you can see here I've got the Dominant Industries Dusk there, and up here I've got Diamine's Earl Grey. Now Earl Grey I absolutely love. I think it's got a really good colour. I think it's got nice shading. It's got everything I could hope for. The Dominant Industries Dusk has all of that, but it also has a shimmer to it. which just makes it really nice as a Christmassy type of ink. And now I've dropped loads of paper, so excuse me one moment while I pick them all up. Right, so there you have 2 inks that you should be looking at as well. And the final thing I have to say, I've been using Conway Stewart for donkey's years, as you will all know perfectly well. One of my favourite pens is my little daily carry, which is a Conway Stewart Model 58. This is the Indiana Jones special version, which is nice because it's got a lever fill, which I love, because when you're just bimbling about and you want to fill your pen quickly, a lever fill is just really practical and straightforward. The only thing I don't like about it so much is the nib, which is much shorter. It's a very reliable broad, but I am one of those strange writers. I like to have a lot more variation with my writing. I don't really like just straightforward, rounded style writing, because I just find it a little bit boring. So I much prefer a pen which gives you some variety. And now let's just look at this, because I have been given an update to one of my nibs in my Drake. I've spoken about this nib before, but I love the way that writing looks. My handwriting is dreadful because I have this ruddy problem with a trapped nerve in my elbow, which hopefully I'm going to get operated on early next year. But you can see here that the downstrokes are nice and broad. The side strokes are quite slim and narrow. It just means that you get more variation in the style of writing. It means that there's more interest in your writing, I think. And I absolutely love this new nib. As you can see, it's quite a long one. It's got a certain amount of length to it. And that, I think, means that the tines are a little bit more flexible, so you can get more variation if you put a little bit of effort into writing with it. This pen I adore. I've had it for donkey's years. It's a Drake. You can't buy them now, sadly. But I'm going to be talking to Conway Stewart and seeing if it's feasible for them to start considering making them again, because I just love this pen. There's one other thing I've got to mention from Conway Stewart, and that is this, the little ink blotter. They sent me this some time ago as a thank you for some of the videos I was doing for them. And I've just done 250 Christmas cards, I think. Lots of family and friends cards, mainly because I do my own Christmas cards. I paint my own ones. And so it's nice to sign them and send them off, or hand deliver them, which is what I do now. This is a gorgeous little ink blotter. It's not inexpensive, but I don't think it's expensive. I think it's 50 odd quid. But it's silver plated on the top. It's got this lovely dragonfly motif in the silver work, and you can see underneath there's a blue colouring. That's a sort of rubbery pad that grips the blotting paper and holds it in place. So all you have to do is unscrew the handle here, and then the blotting paper is released, and you can replace it with another strip of blotting paper. Now, some people might say, oh, how often would you use something like that? Well, I can tell you, I use it just about every day, because it's the ideal size if you're doing a signature or a Dear Mr., which I always try to do. I always like to personalise my things. You sign your name, you put the Dear Mr. whatever, roll it over, and it soaks up all the excess ink. Not ideal if you're trying to use a sheening ink or a shimmering ink, because it will suck up a lot of the glitter, or it will take up. If you use this on a sheening ink, I think a lot of sheening inks rely on the fact that you let a lot of wet ink sit there to dry, and then it's the drying process that makes the sheen come through. If you blot it, then you're far less likely to get a good sheening effect. That is what I have found. But if you're signing 250 Christmas cards, I can assure you it makes life a damn sight easier if you got one of these and you just roll it over immediately. So that's those two things. And then finally, now that I'm up to 15 minutes, I've got to say my two favourite books of the year. Now, I've been very fortunate and I've been given a lot of books by different people. And the two I've got to mention today are this, which is from Hurst Publishing. Hurst is not a firm I'd heard of particularly, but they're rapidly becoming one of the few publishers I look at every couple of weeks because they have a fantastic array of brilliant books. So, what is this book? It's all about Dick Whittington. Now, if you're a Brit, you know of Dick Whittington from the pantomimes. I don't really know much about him at all, but this is a fantastic book, really well written, and I haven't read it all yet, but I'm going to. The other book I've got to mention, just aware of the fact I keep moving my head like this to talk to the microphone. I'm going to move the microphone towards me, and then if I move this round as well, then I can sit more comfortably. How's that? The other book I've got to mention is this, which was from Edinburgh University Press. They were very kind and sent this to me, I think late last year. And I have reviewed it before, but I've got to mention it again because I'm currently writing the 8th in my Blackjack series, which is in 1557. And this has given me, so many ideas. It's given me all of the locations I want to write about. It's given me names of people to write about. It's given me the different businesses and trades they were involved in. It talks about the church. It talks about every single aspect of life in Shakespearean England in this one area, St Helens, near Bishopsgate. And I can't recommend it highly enough. If you're interested in history, buy this book because it is superb. And of course, there's one other thing I've got to say, which is if you're really, really keen on history, then you should be buying other books like The Last Templar, which is now in print again from Canelo Press, and The Merchant's Partner, which is the second in the Last Templar mystery series. They're both really good books. And then again, if you like slightly more ridiculous books, there's The Merchant Murderers, which is Jack Blackjack's latest outing, which is out now, so you can get a copy for Christmas for someone. And if you find it difficult getting a copy of that, well, yes, Last Templar Merchant's Partner. And the Moorland Hanging, A Moorland Hanging, is coming out in April, I believe. So the third of the Last Templar mystery series will be out again in paperback, which is wonderful. But if people really are very, very keen on my books and they can't get hold of an actual physical copy, then all of them are available as ebooks, and most of them are available as audiobooks. And one day when I get time, this microphone is going to be used as I read through the whole of The Last Templar and put it down as an audio again, because for some reason the audio contract ran out and no one thought to ask me whether they could keep going with it. Audio companies are really bizarre. They had all the work done, they had it all recorded, and then they let the contract lapse and decided to ditch it. There is absolutely no logic to publishing. And that now is about it, because I've been talking for about 20 odd minutes, and all it remains for me to say is, I hope that was interesting. I hope you enjoyed that. Do please drop a note down the bottom if you've got any questions or anything. I always try to respond within 24 hours or so. When this video comes out, I'm actually going to be sitting on a train, so I won't be participating. But I hope all of you who are interested will enjoy watching the video. And don't forget, if you haven't already done it and you like it, subscribe and like it, please, because that really does boost things. And you can hit the bell button if you want to be notified of the next video coming through. If you're keen on the idea of supporting this channel, then you can always join my Patreon group, which is nice. Or if you just want to buy me a cup of coffee or a cup of tea, there's a link down the bottom to buy me a coffee, which is very nice of people. They sometimes do. Apart from that, I'm now going to go away and I will be working out what to do next week and the week after for YouTube videos, which will be less about different things to buy and so on, because it'll be a bit late then. And besides, there's plenty of stuff you can look at on this channel and other things on the internet, so you don't really want to see all that. So I might do a video about my office and a little bit about behind the scenes here. What do I use? Especially now with this new iPad, because I've discovered I can use my microphone with this. It will back up to SSD disk drives. It'll connect to other things much more easily because it's got a USB connector rather than a damn silly lightning or whatever they used to call it connector. And it's absolutely magnificent to work with. It saves me hours. So thanks a lot, Apple, for designing this. And thanks a lot for watching, and I'll speak to you in a week's time. Take care.